What does it mean to love one person and only one person for the rest of your life? For most of us, the idea of monogamy feels natural, almost obvious. We grow up hearing stories of the one, of soulmates, of couples who stay together until death do us part. Marriage ceremonies vow exclusivity, movies romanticize it, songs celebrate it. But what if monogamy isn't as natural as we think? What if it's not universal? What if the very idea of committing to one partner for life is one of the most fascinating, contested, and evolving inventions in human history? This is the story of monogamy. The word monogamy comes from Greek, monos meaning one, and gamos meaning marriage. At its simplest, it means having one partner at a time. But in reality, it's much more complicated. Scientists and anthropologists actually distinguish between four types of monogamy. Genetic monogamy means you and your partner have children only with each other. No extra pair paternity. Sexual monogamy means you're sexually exclusive, no sex with anyone else. Social monogamy means you live together, share resources, raise children together, but you might not be sexually exclusive. And marital monogamy is simply being legally married to one person at a time. These might sound similar, but they're very different in practice. A couple can be socially monogamous, living together, raising kids, sharing a bank account, yet not be sexually monogamous. Or they can be sexually monogamous, but not live together. The gap between what we promise and what we do is where the real story begins.
To understand monogamy, we have to go back millions of years back. Humans are mammals. And among mammals, strict monogamy is actually rare. Less than 5% of mammal species form pair bonds. So why did humans? There are two main theories. The first is paternal care. Human babies are born incredibly vulnerable. Their brains are huge, their bodies helpless, and they take years to become independent. A single parent struggling to feed and protect a child has a hard time. But two parents? That dramatically increases the child's chances of survival. Monogamy may have evolved because fathers who stayed around and helped had more surviving offspring. The second theory is ecological stress. In environments where resources are scarce, it's harder for one man to support multiple wives. So men focus their energy on one family instead of spreading themselves thin. Fossil evidence suggests that early human ancestors like Australopithecus afarensis, living around 3.9 to 3 million years ago, showed reduced sexual dimorphism, meaning males and females were more similar in size. In many species, when males are much larger than females, it signals intense male-male competition for multiple mates. Reduced size differences hint at a shift toward pair bonding, but here's the twist. Genetic studies tell a different story. They suggest that reproductive monogamy became more common only 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, right around the time humans started farming. When humans switched from hunting and gathering to farming, everything changed. For the first time, people could own land. They could accumulate wealth, and they could pass it down to their children. But here's the problem. If you own land, you want it to go to your biological children, not someone else's. This created a powerful incentive for men to ensure their wives were sexually faithful, and to marry only one wife so property wouldn't be split too thinly. Anthropologist Jack Goody found a striking pattern. Societies that practiced intensive plow agriculture, from Japan to Ireland, tended to develop monogamy as a cultural norm. Monogamy kept property within the nuclear family. So monogamy wasn't just about love. It was about wealth, inheritance, and power. In ancient Mesopotamia, Babylonian and Assyrian families were monogamous in principle, though rulers often took multiple wives. In ancient Egypt, monogamy was the norm. Even pharaohs often had one lady of the house as their primary wife. In ancient Greece and Rome, men weren't allowed to have more than one wife at a time. Even rulers were bound by this. Greco-Roman monogamy was far from common in the ancient world. It was unusual. And in ancient Israel, monogamy was deeply embedded in creation stories and wisdom literature. The prophet Hosea used monogamous marriage as a metaphor for the relationship between God and Israel. Religion played a huge role in shaping monogamy. Early Christianity adopted the Jewish emphasis on monogamy. The Apostle Paul wrote that bishops should be the husband of one wife. Jesus himself, when questioned about divorce, referred back to Genesis. From the beginning they were male and female, the two shall become one flesh. The Christian Church later enforced monogamy. In medieval Europe, the Church made monogamy a strict requirement, partly for moral reasons, but also because it affected inheritance. When wealth passed to the closest legitimate male heir and the oldest brother had no son, the wealth would pass to a younger brother, often one who was celibate and worked for the church. Monogamy, in this sense, helped consolidate church power. In India, monogamy became legally enforced much later. Before 1955, Hindu men could marry multiple wives. But the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 abolished polygamy for Hindus, making monogamy the law. Bigamous Hindu marriages became void and punishable under the Indian Penal Code. Today, monogamy is legally enforced in most developed countries. Polygamy is illegal in Japan, China, India, and Nepal. The United Nations has declared that polygamy is inconsistent with gender equality because it gives men the right to multiple wives, but not women.
So if monogamy is so culturally enforced, what about our biology? Are we wired for it? The answer is both yes and no. When we fall in love, our brains are flooded with dopamine, norepinephrine, and phenylethylamine. These chemicals create euphoria, high energy, and even reduced need for sleep. This is the honeymoon phase, that intense, intoxicating feeling of being in love. But it doesn't last. Researchers say it typically lasts 6 months to 2 years. Biologically, it can't last forever. It's too demanding on the body. After that, if the relationship continues, new hormones take over. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released during childbirth, breastfeeding, hugging, and intimacy. It cements attachment between mother and child and between partners. Vasopressin is also crucial for long-term attachment. Studies on prairie voles, mammals that mate for life, show that when they have sex, vasopressin is released. But in prairie voles, vasopressin receptors are located near the brain's pleasure centers. In their promiscuous relatives, the meadow voles, those receptors are near anxiety centers. This suggests that pair bonding has a biological basis, but it's not absolute. Humans have the capacity for long-term attachment, but also for seeking other partners. Some men have mutations in their vasopressin receptors that make it harder to form stable pair bonds. They're more likely to be unmarried or in unhappy relationships, so we're not hardwired for strict monogamy. We're hardwired for attachment, but attachment doesn't always mean sexual exclusivity. So what does monogamy look like in the real world? In the United States, surveys show that 20% of men and 13% of women report having sex with someone other than their spouse while married. About 54.5% of infidelity cases lead to divorce. Only 25% of cheaters admit to their affairs, and about 70% regret cheating, but exit one door and you enter another. Most divorced people remarry. Nearly half of all annual marriages in the U.S. involve second, third, or fourth-time brides or grooms. 75% of divorced people remarry, often within 3 years. This is serial monogamy, a series of exclusive relationships over a lifetime, rather than one lifelong bond. Divorce rates are staggering. Over 40% of first marriages end in divorce, rising to 70% for third marriages. So we're not necessarily abandoning monogamy, we're just practicing it differently. Instead of one partner for life, it's one partner at a time. And now, something new is emerging. In 2025, a survey found that 61% of Americans are open to non-monogamous relationships. Among Gen Z, 68% are willing to consider non-monogamy, and 15% are currently in open relationships, 5 times higher than Gen X. Polyamory, consensual, ethical non-monogamy is growing. People in polyamorous relationships report similar levels of relationship and sexual satisfaction as those in monogamous relationships. A 2025 meta-analysis of 35 studies involving nearly 25,000 people found no significant difference in satisfaction between monogamous and consensually non-monogamous relationships. People in polyamorous relationships score higher on openness to experience, risk-taking, and tolerance for ambiguity. They tend to have more complex thinking and greater tolerance for unclear situations. Polyamory isn't about cheating. It's about consent, honesty, and communication. Some people find that having multiple intimate relationships allows them to share more fully in each other's happiness, soften jealousy, and learn to pay attention to the flourishing of others. This challenges the monogamy superiority myth, the assumption that monogamous relationships are inherently more fulfilling, intimate, or trustworthy.
So, which is healthier, monogamy or non-monogamy? Studies on polygyny, where one man has multiple wives, show that polygynous wives report higher rates of depression, anxiety, somatization, and low self-esteem compared to monogamous women. They also report lower marital satisfaction and problematic family functioning. But that's different from consensual polyamory, where all partners consent and there's no power imbalance. For those who choose it, consensual non-monogamy may be a viable alternative to monogamy. Evidence for the benefits of monogamy relative to other relationship styles is currently lacking. That said, monogamy does offer benefits. It can provide stability, clear expectations, and social legitimacy. In societies with strong monogamous norms, monogamous couples face less stigma and discrimination. But it also comes with costs. The pressure to be someone's everything, lover, best friend, co-parent, financial partner, can be overwhelming. And when that expectation isn't met, disappointment, betrayal, and divorce can follow. So where is monogamy going? We're in the middle of a major shift. The traditional model, one partner for life, is giving way to serial monogamy, open relationships, and polyamory. Younger generations are leading this change. They're more open to questioning traditional norms, more focused on personal fulfillment, and more willing to explore alternative relationship structures. Technology is also changing the game. Dating apps make it easier to meet multiple people. Social media makes it easier to maintain multiple connections, and the internet has created communities for people in non-traditional relationships. But monogamy isn't disappearing. It's evolving. For many people, it still makes sense. It aligns with their values, their beliefs, and their emotional needs. The key is choice, choosing monogamy consciously, not just following a script. Monogamy is one of the most enduring, complex, and contested institutions in human history. It's shaped by biology, culture, religion, economics, and love. It's evolved over millions of years. It's been enforced by law and religion. It's been questioned, challenged, and reimagined. And yet, despite all the controversy, despite all the infidelity, despite all the divorces, people keep trying. They keep trying to find one person and only one person with whom to build a life. Maybe that's the real story of monogamy, not whether it's natural or universal, not whether it's the right way to love, but that we keep reaching for it anyway. Because at its best, monogamy isn't about restriction. It's about commitment. It's about choosing someone again and again. It's about building something together that's bigger than ourselves. And that is worth exploring.